and I want to welcome you to the part 2 of our new series on how real estate investors think. Now, in this series, I'll be teaching you and showing you how investors who have played the game better in the real estate investment sector, how they have done it, and the proven tactics that they have used to work their way up to the. So if you're a new person who is still, finding your way around real estate investment, or even an investor who has made some investment in real estate, but you still want to do more and even do better, then this information is for you. So here at How Real Estate Investors Think, I bring out real life scenarios or real life experience of how investors that I know and people that I've worked with, people that have helped to build their real estate portfolio, what they have used to excel and to build a very good, solid, or you can say waterproof or watertight real estate portfolio, investment portfolio. So on this series, on this part 2, let's talk about the power of initial deposit, ID. I call it ID. And then the power of payment plan, PP. I will explain more on these two terms, the ID and the PP. Now, you could have found yourself in a situation, if you're an investor who has found yourself in that situation where you want to buy a property, okay? You've been seeing people buying properties, you've been hearing about how real estate has changed people's life, build their wealth and all of that. So you want to do the same. But then when you turn to your left, a house is calling or knocking at 100 million, 70 million, a land is knocking on 50 million, 25, 35, and even 2 million there, okay? And then you're saying to yourself, how are these people doing this thing? How do they get this money to invest? And you're asking for somebody to cut soap for you. Now, there is a simple way to go about it. First off, truth be told, you must have a cash flow, a promised or a working cash flow system. Yes, before you buy a property with this method, please, with this method, with this secret ingredient, with these tactics, with this strategy, you must have a cash flow. So you're going to be buying based on your cash flow, okay? Now, you should also note this. For this to work for you and how it has worked for others, you check your cash flow, then you go for a property that is befitting for your cash flow. I can tell you categorically that you can find a property that is befitting of your cash flow. Yes, if you cannot find it in built-up urban areas, you can find it in rural areas, you can find it in the emerging area, you can find it in remote locations. So there is a budget for everybody. However, you want to match up with a budget that will give you a better result in no time, okay? In a better time, rather. Let me use the word in a better time. So, the power of initial deposit. You're looking left, you're looking to your right, and all the properties seem to be off the roof. Now, you shouldn't despair. This is a simple system or proven track record that you can depend on. When you look at your cash flow, how much you gross every year, or how much you gross every month, then you should find a property within that range. So let's say you want to buy a house. You want to buy a house for 50 million naira. Your dream home costs 50 million or will cost you 50 million naira. Okay? But then you don't have 50 million on the ground. You don't have it cash, raw cash, liquid to make this transaction happen. But in a year you can gross up to 50 million, and when you take out your expenses and everything, you can gross up to 50 million. Or in 2 years, you can make that work, right? Okay, now what you can do is to locate or identify real estate developers, or real estate developers as they are known. Yes, people like us who are in the business of developing city areas, developing houses. Yeah, so find a developer that is willing to accept what we call payment plan. Okay, but you must be ready with your initial deposit. For this to work, you must have your initial deposit. At least up to 20% of what your total budget is. Okay, so if you can save up to 20%, and even in most cases, you could even do up to 10%. You could do 10%. 10% of the total budget. Yes. So there are projects for housing that if you must put down, or for you to subscribe or get yourself a home locked down, you can make a deposit, an initial deposit. initial deposit of 20%, 10%, 15%. Then in most cases, 50%. I will tell you why some people collect 50% as initial. Not every developer takes payment plan, okay? Some properties will require you to pay cash and carry, full payment, and then you take the keys. But there are properties where you can pay a certain sum of money and then you subscribe into what we call a payment plan, okay? So if you must buy a property, whatever the target is or whatever your budget is for the property, even if you don't have a complete sum, please make sure you have up to the initial deposit. Make sure you have something you can put down to lock down the deal. Now let me tell you what initial deposit does for you. It is not just a literature term. Initial deposit saves you, okay? It saves you from price increments. It saves you when there's an increase in the value of the property. And it also puts you on the path to make more money. Whether as an investor, somebody who wants to buy a property and resell, buy a property and rent out, or a homeowner who wants to buy and live in, okay, initial deposit will help you lock down a property. Now, mind you, if this is March and there's a property going for 50 million naira, there is no guarantee that in 6 months' time, when your money will be complete, when your 50 million will be complete, cash on or hands down, that the property will still remain for 50 million naira. Especially in a place where real estate is at its peak, where real estate is growing very fast, right? City areas, city capitals, emerging city areas, and all of that, and developed urban metropolis. So if the property is 50 million today, there is no guarantee that in a year's time it will be 50 million naira. There could be other competing buyers and investors who want to buy that property, so you may not stand a chance of getting your dream property, whether for investment or for home use, right? Okay, so, but if you have your initial deposit, you can lock down the deal. You can lock down that apartment, you can lock down that duplex, you can lock down that plot of land, okay, or plots of land that you want to buy, yes, with an initial deposit. So when you put it down, you sign up to a payment plan, okay? Now, most developers do payment plan. Now, you're going to see the power of payment plan, right? Most developers do payment plan for up to 12 months. Some go as far as 18 months and even 24 months. Yes. And I know some deals that are currently doing up to 5 years payment plan. They rarely come out with such deals. But when they come out with such deals, it is always a hot cake because a lot of people want to sign up to such a deal, right? Okay, so you use the power of initial deposit to get access to the power of payment plan for you to lock down and to successfully pay for a property. Now, caveat, okay, terms and conditions. If you be doing this, if you be using this scheme, you will likely not be, at the end of the day, buying for 50 million. Now, I'm going to explain that so that you don't confuse what I said earlier, that when you don't make an initial deposit, the property will increase. And now I'm saying, if you're using this system, you still have to pay more. Now, this is how it works. If you be subscribing to a payment plan, okay, some developers can be as kind as saying, oh, you know what, we're going to protect your interest for a period of 3 months interest-free. If you make an initial deposit of 20% or 10%, 3 months interest-free. If you complete your payment in 3 months, okay, forget about any interest. You're paying at that sum of 50 million. Some can say, okay, do this interest-free for 6 months. So what it means is that you pay 20% of 50 million naira or 5 million or 2 million, okay? You pay up in 3 months or in 6 months interest-free. Anything above that, you begin to pay little interest on every month that you're yet to pay up, okay? Yes, but you cannot compare that to the outward or the outright increment in the property. Now, we have this property by the Lakwe Golf that sold for 10 million per plot. Now, people who subscribed to that plan, they enjoyed 3 months interest-free. A lot of persons made an initial deposit of about 2 million naira or 1 million naira then, okay, to lock down. Now, it's about 12 up to 12 months since that project commenced. If you're subscribing to 6 months payment plan, you pay an additional 1 million naira for the plot, okay, for a plot. Yes. Now, those who subscribe to 6 months were paying 11 million instead of 10 million. Those who subscribe for 12 months were paying additional 2 million naira, that is 12 million instead of 10 million, right? Because they were able to stretch their payment plan, having locked down their plot with an initial deposit of 2 million or 1 million, okay, which is 10% or 20% as the case may be. Now, what is the difference between, they are charging me 2 million extra for a 12 months payment plan, and when the property appreciates in 12 months? Now, guess what? It is not even up to 12 months. That property is going for 30 million naira, 25, 30 million naira. Now, do the maths. You bought a property in April, May last year for 10 million naira. You did not pay in full, okay? You made initial deposit, you spread your payment, and by the end of your payment up to 12 months, you only pay 12 million. But the property is 30 million. Now, 30 million minus 12 million, you have about 17 million naira in the bank. So let's say you failed to make an initial deposit at the time when the property was going for less, and now you're coming back when your 10 million is complete 12 months later to buy the property. You see, you cannot even buy a full plot with that amount anymore. You would rather want to buy a half plot, right? So, but if you have used the power of initial deposit, you would have locked yourself down on the 10 million naira deal for 2 million naira extra for 12 months, and you save yourself 17 million. You see that the difference is the margin is wide, right? Yes, so that is how investors think. Investors make use of the power of initial deposit and payment plan to secure their deals. There were people who used these same tactics to secure about 12 plots. Yes. So for 12 plots, they paid 1 million naira, 12 million naira down. And then with the 12 months payment plan, of which they are paying 12 million per plot on each of the plan, now that the price of the property is at 30 million naira. Now do your maths. 30 million by 10 plots alone is 300 million naira. So by 12 plots, you're talking about 360 million naira. If you minus that from what you're paying for the property, which is about 120 million plus 2 million naira interest, so let's say roughly 130 or 140 million, minus that from 360 million, then this is what an investor has made for themselves, himself or herself, in a space of 12 months, using the power of initial deposits. So as an investor, what you just have to look out for is your cash flow. What is your cash flow saying? What can you do in the space of 1 year? Now let me also shock you. At the end of the day, when the investor might have gone through the pain, the stress, the financial stress and burden to pay up for these plots of land, okay? Now what will happen? If I happen to be in that situation where I have secured 12 plots of land, okay, for myself, using this deal of this initial deposit tactics, secure 12 plots. Now, once I'm done paying and I collect my documentation, my allocation, what do you think I will do? I will start selling these plots. You can decide to sell 6 alone, and you've made the money you made. You've covered up for your investment. Yes, so I can start selling 6, use the money to develop the other 6, or I can use the money to develop on 3 plots, then leave the other 3 for future resale. Now that is how investors think. Okay. Now, if I have these 12 plots, another thing an investor will do, okay, is to sell half, use the other half to buy other new emerging projects that are coming up in the market. So I had somebody who I know that got a property like this, sold a part of it, used that to buy more properties. And when those ones appreciate, he or she is going to sell again, okay? and then put the money back into another emerging deal. That is how investors think. Now, this is how people make money from real estate. So it's not just about sinking your money or buying. You need to go and buy where people are buying, where there is going to be value. Now, what amounts to the value of this example? It's not the mere fact that it's a bush or bare land. This is a site that is being developed, a site and service project. Yes, that's why I encourage people who have money to buy site and service project, because for every development or timeline that they meet up with, okay, it pushes the price value of the property or the land high. Then if it's a project that they are building on, it skyrockets the price value, okay? Yeah, so this is how investors think. By capitalizing on the strategy of using initial deposit to lock down a deal. Because if you're not able to lock down that deal at that time when the price is still at the early bird stage, you will lose out an opportunity to save money and to make money. In fact, this is the stage where people make money. So those who understand know that they will not want to miss an opportunity to use an initial deposit or use the power of initial deposit to secure a deal. So initial deposit can help you secure that house deal that you have been dreaming of, or that land deal that you've been dreaming of. A land is 3.5 million. What is the initial deposit? That should be your first question. What is the initial deposit? What is the payment plan? Okay, once you have that, check your cash flow. If your cash flow can accommodate it, go for it. Go for it. So you mustn't have the money in lump sum, okay? You mustn't have the money cash down to make this happen. If you have an initial deposit, if you have a cash flow that can sustain you, that can keep you up with your payment plan, then you can go for it. So most of the people you see today that are celebrated and they are doing well, they've created wealth for themselves in real estate investment, use initial deposits. And there are lots of developers who are open to this strategy. So you have no excuse not to buy a land. You have no excuse not to buy that house of yours. You have no excuse to invest in multiple apartments. In fact, there was a project where somebody bought 12 units of terraces at a go using initial deposits. So what do you think will happen? You know, we always say you go where people are, where people will come to, you buy and you wait. You don't wait for real estate. You go where people are planning to go to. You buy real estate there, you wait for them. Okay? You buy it at the primary market and you sell at the secondary market. It is a good tool to recreate wealth and to position yourself in the real estate wealth creation game. So what do you think about this information? If you found value, if it's interesting, if you want me to do a sequel on this, please leave a comment. Yes, leave a comment. If you see this series for the first time and you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so. Subscribe to my channel, like the video, share to your friends who need this information. If you have questions, you can always reach me on 0811-364-3924. You can send me an email, Solomonevaristrealtor. You can leave a comment, yes, and I'll be open to help you with your questions. If you're looking at best deals to buy, where you can invest your money in for real estate investment and wealth creation, I'm here for you, and I'm open to assist at any time. Thank you very much, and looking forward to your comments, your questions, and your thoughts around this conversation. Do have a beautiful day. God bless you. This is Solomon Evarist.